Well, Willow, I would say Happy New Year, but it's now January 9th, so that's no longer allowed, right?
Yeah, I guess so. It's been the new year for like more than a week at this point.
You're not allowed to say Happy New Year after the 3rd or 4th. What is it? I think Larry David has a specific rule about which day you're not supposed to say it anymore.
Well, in that case, then Merry Christmas to everybody.
How was your break? Do you feel like you get a good break when you're not doing the show like I do?
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice to be able to kind of like feel like I don't have to like really be looking at like Instagram and TikTok and stuff. Not that I'm not. I mean, I'm still mindlessly scrolling on there, but I feel like I don't have to pay quite as close attention.
I will say that I did hang out with a Starbucks barista over the break, and I did deliberately ask her, like, did you get how did you feel during the whole bear cup fiasco? She's like, oh, it was terrible. I wish we could put a sign on the door that says we don't have any. I said, because she works in one that's very central to the city. I said, well, how many did you get? She said 3. And guess who got them all? The people who work there. So you might be proven right on that one regarding the manufactured scarcity.
Yeah, wow, what a surprise. I'm right once again.
Yeah. Starting off the year as you spent all of last year being more correct than I.
Just the way it should be.
In other important news, I did purchase an eyebrow trimmer. I don't know if this is coming off in glorious 4K, but my sisters came into town over the Christmas break, and they're just like, dear God. And they spent a good half hour like trimming my eyebrows. They're like, you have to do something about this. And I mentioned like, yeah, I've been getting a couple comments in YouTube videos about my eyebrow hairs, but I kind of just thought that the thing that they were doing up here going crazy was just like age or something that's supposed to happen. But no, no, I took like a good, I don't know, 1/4 inch off of these things.
Wow, I can't believe people were going in about your eyebrow hairs. That is a hyper-specific thing that I would not expect anyone to comment on. But I guess if there's anybody paying attention to minute details, it is YouTube commenters.
Oh, I don't think I mentioned this on the show. My wife, who does not watch the show. Oh, by the way, she gave me a coupon book for Christmas, and one of the coupons is I will watch an episode of Eater's Digest. I don't know if that's sweet or
very
depressing.
Cute.
She has never
You're gonna
watched
have to
the
save
show.
that one for a really good one.
The platform that we record this on, Riverside, which is a terrible platform that I would never recommend. It's full of like AI generated junk that's just like, don't you want this? And one of them was a generated. Maybe Derek can cut that in because it was pretty interesting. It was like, this is the word that you said the most, and it was chocolate. We said chocolate the most throughout the year. Chocolate.
Chocolate. Chocolate.
Chocolate. Chocolate. Chocolate. Chocolate.
Chocolate.
Chocolate. Chocolate. Chocolate. Chocolate.
Chocolate.
Chocolate.
Chocolate.
Chocolate.
Chocolate.
Chocolate.
Chocolate. Chocolate.
Chocolate. Chocolate. Chocolate.
Chocolate.
Chocolate.
Yeah, the one that I thought was even funnier was the compilation of us laughing. It was absolutely terrifying. So the reason I brought this up is because there was in that compilation a shot of you in the Ina Garten outfit, and Brie was like, "Wow, Willow looks really great with her new haircut." It's like you truly don't watch this show. That is really funny. I mean, I'm flattered. I'm glad I can pull off the barefoot Contessa look.
I don't even know how we're going to format this entire show because I feel like we have to catch up on like 12 different headlines. We're not going to be able to do a whole lot of depth, but I don't know. Just hit me with a couple headlines of what happened this year, and we can catch everybody else up who wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, I hope everyone's ready that we're kind of going to be, it's like our first day back to school. We're not going to be hitting the syllabus too hard. We're just going to be dabbling a little bit. The first one I've got up for you is that Matty Matheson's Just a Dash is coming to Netflix January 20th.
Do you think that enough people know the differences between all his different show formats? Because I've been watching Matty Matheson since the Vice days, and I remember Dead Set on Life, and I was like, wow, this is a beautiful format for a show, especially a food show. And I feel like not that many people are going to understand that Just a Dash is different from Home Cookin', is different from whatever his current show is called. I don't know. I could be wrong.
No, I would tend to agree with you on that. I do think that a lot of his content kind of just gets lumped together because I think people look at him and they're just like, oh yeah, like Matty Matheson, he's got this big personality, and that plays such a huge part in all of his content that I think people just see like, oh yeah, that's the big loud food guy, and kind of lump that all in together. I'm really interested to see how this will go though, because it is supposed to be quite different than previous seasons of Just a Dash, which was all kind of like filmed in like a tight space kitchen area, lots of interaction with the crew and stuff. Whereas this is going to be them hitting the road with like quote unquote no kitchen and no plan, which feels very different from the previous format.
One thing that I've really loved about every Matty Matheson show, regardless of what network it's been on, was the set design. I don't know if anybody else cares for that sort of stuff, but I really, really liked the set design of Just a Dash and the one that came before that. But that won't be a part of it because they're going to be on the road. And I think the only like major through line that connects Just a Dash internet version to Netflix version is him loudly yelling, "Michelle!" And that's gonna be the major factor.
Yeah, I think in something like this, I think that the crew is going to be like an even more integral part of it since they're not going to be in that same set every day. You know, you're going to see a lot of like Michelle, a lot of sound guy, a lot of like interacting between these people. I'm really interested to see how it goes. I do think that historically, when YouTubers enter a more like mainstream platform, whether that's like a streaming service or network TV, it tends to either go really well or very poorly. The one that comes to mind for me is when Rhett and Link did Inside Eats on Food Network, and it was, you know, a 4-episode thing that flopped very quickly.
I never even heard of that, but I'm hoping that this one succeeds because anytime anybody's like courted me for any other format outside of YouTube, it's just like, do you have any ideas? And I say, no. Can we just like record stuff and see what happens? And so if this works out, it would be a win for the people without a plan.
All right, up next, Food 52 has been acquired by America's Test Kitchen. Have you heard much about that?
No, because I have not been paying attention to Food 52 since like 2015. I was at like its heyday. It feels very much like Apartment Therapy. Do you remember Apartment Therapy?
No, I don't think I know what that is.
They felt like sister blogs, even though they probably weren't related, where it's like, this is for people who care about interior design and this is for people who care about cooking. But it was, they both sort of degraded in the same way at the same time. And that's why I felt like they were related. Like Food 52 was just advertorials for a really long time after like 2016, where it's just like, here's 10 ways to spruce up your space. And it's all like ads for an air filter or something.
Yeah, and Food 52, they really do seem to have put a big focus on like selling stuff in like the last 10 years. Like you click on their website and it feels like it's 90% like them trying to sell you stuff. But I also think that like food media has kind of been going downhill for the last like 10 years or so, so I'm not particularly surprised by this. You know, we saw BA just completely die off. Like, you know, they're still producing content, but I don't know anybody that watches like modern day Bon Appetit content. A couple months ago, Eater laid off like a ton of employees on kind of a short notice. And now Food 52 is going bankrupt and being taken over by ATK. And I can't help but wonder if ATK will be kind of like the last one with legs to stand on, so to speak.
Yeah, and I guess I wouldn't characterize it as a fall off. Like food media is falling off or dying. I would probably characterize it as a correction because 2020, when everybody's stuck at home learning how to make sourdough, I think it was a little bit of an artificial bump to people paying attention to cooking. And this might be just more of a correction towards the mean.
For sure. And I also think that as a result of circling back to it, the BA fallout, I think people have sort of found their people that they really like in this sphere and tend to stick with the content of certain people rather than like larger networks. Even people who are working with like New York Times and stuff, it's like people are gravitating towards those videos because of who is in it, not so much because they like really love New York Times content.
Since you said BA and New York Times in the same sentence, we do have to talk about the fact that Sohla left. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. I don't think I've ever heard it said out loud. But
I think
Sohla.
It's El Whaley.
Oh, El Whaley. Sohla El Whaley. She left the New York Times, and I've, in a way that I feel, made a big stink about it. And since you and I have DM'd back and forth many times, and everybody in the Discord sort of debated this for a whole day, I know that this is not a situation in which I am likely to be painted as the right guy once again. But that happened. I'll let you just do all the talking.
So I guess the first thing that I'll say here is that like, and anybody in my real life knows that I say this phrase all the time, and it's like my go-to. But two things can be true at once. Like, I think a lot of people see this happening and they're like, gee, this is like the second time. And even she acknowledged that in her Substack post. She's like, I did not want to be the girl who cried low pay in every scenario. And I get why people would see that and be like, oh, interesting. Like the common denominator is you. But I don't really feel that way. I don't think anyone's surprised that I don't feel that way. I just think that she has been a loud voice in an industry that can really benefit from that. I think that cooking and media are both incredibly volatile environments for women especially. And I think that we do need people who are going to continually expose the mistreatment in these sectors to have impact.
Yeah, and I really have nothing
Yeah,
to
okay.
Well, it's like anything that I could say, I already, like, know what the argument against it is, where I was just like, "Well, you should badmouth your employer online," and then you can say, like, "Well, just what is that? Well-behaved women seldomly make history," or something. You know, like,
Yeah, there
there's
you
something you
go.
can say in response to everything that I have to say, so I'd rather just say nothing, and you could tell me what else is new in the news.
So have you seen this trend of people who are trying to smoke tinned fish by setting paper towels on fire?
Did see it a while ago, like a year and a half ago, and now I've seen it come up again because I think Hydroxide mainly was talking about it doing an interpretive dance that's sort of like, "Hey, don't do this. Don't do this." Is that what you're talking about?
I guess I'm a fake fan. I don't remember if I've seen that one. I'm so sorry, Hydroxide. I actually came across this. There's a woman that I follow who was doing this, and I saw, a bunch of other people in the comments seemingly very excited to do it. And I was just kind of like, hey, I don't know that this is a good idea. There's also plastic in that tinned fish container. Like the paper towel thing is bad enough, and that's what I see people mostly focusing on is like you're inhaling these like bleached paper products, you're breathing all these chemicals in. But also like a lot of these containers do have like an imperceptible layer of plastic inside, which is just like I was gonna say adding fuel to the fire, but that is literal and figurative here. I left a comment on it and was like, hey, that's not safe. You probably shouldn't do that. And someone was like, some people don't have pots and pans and stoves. Some people have
Mhm,
to make do.
mhm.
And I'm like, what is happening? What does that have to
Ah,
do with anything
you
here?
got caught doing discourse online. Yeah,
Oh,
I guess
man.
personally, I don't really care very much one way or the other. Like, I never want to be the type of person who's like, "Oh, you're being unsafe in the kitchen," because it's like, smoking anything, like anything combusting is cancerous in some way or the other. Like smoking food, burning something in the house, anything like that. So I don't really care about like the bleached paper towel getting burnt and like going into my lungs. But at the same time, I think that the trend, the hack has gone through so many layers of the telephone game that people don't really understand why they're doing it anymore. Like it used to just be like, here's something that I do a lot. I eat a lot of tinned fish, and sometimes I want to add a little extra flavor by lighting this up, and it just gives a very light, smoky flavor. And then other people hear that, and it's like filtered down by so many levels that people are like, guys, I'm going to show you how to smoke your tinned fish. And it's like, you're not smoking anything. What the?
One of the things that I also found interesting was that the post that I'm referring to that I commented on, the woman was like eating the fish after, and she was like, oh, like I do notice like a slightly smoky flavor. But you can see in the video that the tinned fish she was using were smoked fish. So like
Classic.
what is happening here? People will just repeat anything that they see online.
Mhm. And by the way, there's no way for you to win against this creator, whoever this is. I haven't even seen the video, but even in a world in which you indisputably prove that this person said they're wrong, that she'll just turn around and just be like, this was rage bait, you idiot. I did that on purpose, and you fell for it. Like, there's no way to win. You just have to let go.
I guess that's something I need to remember being online now.
I know. I get this drive to comment on TikToks because TikTok is really I don't know, something has happened to my algorithm where it's just showing me stuff that is very stupid by people who are like barely literate, and I think I'm trying to think of a way that I can channel that into something positive. At the time of this being
You're acting
recorded,
like that's a surprise. You love to react to people that are stupid and barely literate. It's like your favorite thing in the world.
yeah, one of my friends was in a group chat recently and was like, "Does Victor like arguing?" And I was like, "Uh-oh, bad news. Your friends are finding out they might find out my name next." Like, what are you talking
You
about? Have you met me?
you seem like the type of person, and I heard this a lot as a child too, which was adults being like, "You'd make a great lawyer," which is a
Yeah.
great way to tell a child that they're an argumentative little bitch. Like,
My family liked to say, "You're going to get beat up once you join high school," and I made it all through 4 years without that happening. So,
oh man.
anyway, I'm trying to think of a positive format. At the time of this recording, I just dropped the restaurant video, which is like why I don't talk about restaurants, and like talking about why I don't talk about it and making that into a video. So it's like if I could figure out a way to like scroll through TikTok and instead of leaving a comment, be like, "Oh look, here's something that came up," and I'm just like sort of reacting to it live. I have to figure out a way to do that in a way that doesn't come off like just bullying individual people that are in my feed. But I'm thinking about it.
On the subject of your latest restaurant video, I would like to point out that you referenced not one, not two, but three Eater's Digest stories with not a word about the podcast in the
Oh,
whole
that's
video.
true.
Everyone leave comments down
I
below
didn't even
telling
think
him to
about
get
that.
it together.
That is so funny. In my mind, I'm like, "Oh, I'm saying this stuff because people love watching Eater's Digest and then 6 months later seeing how something came to fruition." I need to be thinking in the opposite direction, sending people from the main channel to this channel. Yeah, did you hear the boss put an expiration date on this show, by the way?
Well, good thing if there's one thing we know from this show is that, the expiration date doesn't always mean anything.
That's true, that's true. It's my turn to share a story. I got the coveted Daddy's Home. It comes in this mug can. Very nice. I found out later that the not all of them come with the dog heads, so this one is very collectible. Yeah, I should have. What the smart move would have been to just save this and never spray it, but I was too curious as to what it smells like. Would you like any guesses?
I mean, my guess would be root
Atomizer
beer,
check.
hopefully root beer.
Oh, look at that pressurized atomizer. I don't know if anybody cares about that, but it is nice for $15 a bottle.
So what are the notes? Give us the review.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's just Amber Woods, and I think that's like kind of the trend. It's been the trend for several years, so it's like it's nothing special. You're not going to get noticed in any way. It's just Amber Woods. It's not super creamy. It's not super vanillic. It's not effervescent in any way. It's not artistic. But for $15, I guess it's better than it needs to be. It's at least nice.
Yeah, I mean, hey, for a $15 fragrance, as long as it smells halfway decent, that's not too bad. I am disappointed that they weren't able to kind of nail that effervescent note that we talked about.
Yeah, me too. But I don't think they were allowed to use any expensive ingredients for what their goal was. And then on the back of this, it says manufactured by K Luxury Fragrances, just the letter K. So I Googled that, and it's just a company that does this for other brands where it's like, oh, we do the pickle perfume, the mayonnaise perfume for these brands. So they did the Miller Dive Bar. What was it called? It was
Parfume.
Parfume. Yeah, they did that one. So yeah, it just seems like a company where it's like, okay, tell us how much we're allowed to spend and what you're trying to do, and we will make that happen for you. So a good product. I think $15 is a fair price to pay, and it's collectible, and people like smelling it. I've had a couple people come over where they come, wow, it does smell like root beer. But again, scent is very suggestive, and you can make somebody think that water is menthol if you suggest it strongly enough. So good, one thumb up.
One's not bad. Before we move on to the next story, though, I just have to ask, did you make up the mayonnaise one, or is that a real thing?
Oh, that's a good question. My old feeble mind doesn't even know anymore. I know there's at least one white creamy sauce one. It might have been ranch, it might have been mayonnaise, but there's something like that.
All right, well, on the subject of sodas then, the Dr. Pepper TikTok jingle, I had not seen this until you mentioned it to me. So why don't you tell the audience a little bit about
Dr.
this?
Pepper, baby, it's good,
It's good
and nice. Yeah.
Do-do-do.
So the way that this works is that there's a young lady on TikTok who makes a video that's like, hey, I just woke up from a dream and I had to record this because I had a dream that I created a new jingle for Dr. Pepper. And it goes like that, like we just sang it. So then somebody else makes a video that's like, oh, you wanted it to sound sort of like this? And it's like a fully produced with instrumentation. It's good and nice. And now people are reposting stuff. They're posting their own stuff with that song in the background. And there's so much interesting discourse. This is one of those stories where it's like, I don't care to be right or wrong on anything. I'm just so interested in everything that's happening because people are giving Dr. Pepper free promotion, right? But at the same time, there's plenty of people who are getting upset because they're saying like, no, you need to use Romeo's show original audio. Stop using this this guy's upgraded version with a completely different singer on it. And then other people who are like, Dr. Pepper's fumbling the bag because they're not making a full-on Super Bowl ad with this song in the background. And other people are like, well, that doesn't matter because they're getting free promo by this stuff being posted. So
what I think is interesting about this is that less of the theme song of it all is just that I feel like Dr. Pepper is really like having a moment, or has been having a moment. I feel like the like soda zeitgeist has been very focused on like a Diet Coke for like a while. And I feel like in the last year, people are nonstop talking about Dr. Pepper. I'm seeing like the taste tests of the different like zero, diet, regular, the cream soda version and stuff. And like the hot Dr. Pepper trend from like the 80s that was sort of brought back in the last year. It's a good time to be Dr. Pepper.
It's probably a good time to be any soda. Like you could say that about Baja Blast, especially now that there's like 12 variations of it. You could say that about probiotic sodas and I can't even name that many sodas. How about that?
Something that I thought was like funny was the amount of brands commenting on this person's original video. Like there's Subway and Welch's and Wingstop and 99% like food and beverage brands. But the one that really got me was the Philadelphia Eagles commenting on there. I was just like, this isn't for you. Get out of here.
It's not for anybody. I hate that so much. And there's a special level of ire reserved for the people who are just like, oh my gosh, hi, Dr. Pepper, like, send me a free can. It's like you're giving them free advertisement on your content. It's just, for Subway to show up and be like, hi, this is about us actually is so annoying. And the fact that people fall for that is lame to me. And surprise, I'm mad online again.
Dr. Pepper better have sent them a very nice PR package. There better be cases on cases of Dr. Pepper on that doorstep.
I would really love to hear what's going on in those boardrooms, because you have to know that like that media team is fighting with the C-suite all the time. Like, no, please let us lean into this. And there just has to be so much juicy meeting taking place. I will say, if I could change anything, it would be Dr. Pepper, baby, it's good and nice. And then would repeat and say, Dr. Pepper, baby, it's good on ice.
Ice. Yeah. I saw that comment too.
Damn. I have no original thoughts. Anyway, did you hear Sprinkles is closing for good? How about that for a story?
Yes, I did hear about that. I gotta say, Sprinkles, like, I don't want to say before my time. Obviously, I was like alive, but it was like not a time when I was out buying
you didn't have
cupcakes,
$15
interacting
in your pocket for a cupcake at that time. Yeah.
And it's, to me, Sprinkles is more of like a symbol of early 2000s gentrification than anything else.
That's interesting. It's like the early levels of the treatlerite and like the person who wants the expensive little yuppie treat. And people are like, well, Sprinkles, it's so overpriced. Of course it's closing for good. It's like, no, this is the time that it should be thriving the most. Expensive little stupid treat is thriving right now more than ever.
I think people are just over cupcakes. I think we had this big like cupcake boom at that time with Sprinkles at like the forefront of it. I want to say Sprinkles also makes like a candy line where it's like Reese's style like cup candy flavored like different types of cake. And I feel like maybe they were trying to branch out from being like just the cupcake people, because I don't want to say cupcakes are dead because that's ridiculous.
No, it's not that ridiculous, because everything lives and dies. As we learned on this show, like right now, Crumble Cookies has got one foot in the grave and the other out of banana peel. Like it's just a matter of time before cookies go out of style.
I mean, I feel like what we've seen is sort of just a reinventing the wheel here of it. Like, it's not cupcakes anymore. Like, the thing that comes to mind is Nothing Bundt Cakes. It's the exact same thing. It's a tiny cake. It's just not a cupcake.
Nothing Bundt Cakes has been around for so long that I don't even register it in the
Have
same.
They?
Yeah, I think so.
I assumed that they were a new company.
Oh, no. They might have just started in the Southwest and are starting to make their way everywhere else. But the clearest analog to me is Crumble Cookies, just because it's overly sweetened, not particularly well done, always getting cheaper, and we're running out of style.
All right, so speaking of cupcakes, crumble, cookies, all of this stuff, San Francisco is suing ultra-processed food companies. Do you know anything about that?
No, I think this is the one where I truly don't know anything about that. How does that work? What's going to happen? How does that even, what?
So this is like kind of considered like the first lawsuit of its kind, so to speak. San Francisco, as a city, is suing 10 different major corporations, from like Coca-Cola to Mondelez to ConAgra. Basically, like, all of the major companies that own the products in the center aisles of the grocery store, so to speak. And San Francisco alleges that these companies are violating California's unfair competition law in their public nuisance statute. And they basically are like accusing them of like big tobacco-esque behavior and deception and marketing. And they are trying to get these companies to not necessarily like pivot or stop producing these things, but to
follow the law more closely.
Yeah, or to like sort of engage with like the idea of like, hey, our products aren't really very good for you. We're going to sell them anyways, but they're not very good for you. Like, one of the things that the lawsuit asks for is like financial penalties from these companies going towards like helping local governments with healthcare costs associated with the illnesses that come from eating ultra-processed foods, diabetes, cancer, heart disease, etc. The thing that I kind of found funny in all of this was just the use of like the term public nuisance in this context. Because I do think of these large companies as kind of being like a public nuisance sometimes, but not exactly in the way that they're being described here.
I usually prefer it when two big companies or like big conglomerates are fighting with each other, because then I at least understand that they're the ones losing money, losing a bunch of money fighting each other. But when it's like government versus company, it's like, well, who's got better lawyers and who's got less money, because I think the city's going to run out of money and the good lawyers before the big companies do.
I would tend to agree with that. It does kind of feel like textbook California behavior, though. Like it is, they're always at the front of these things, the forefront of these things. But I don't exactly know what this would look like in the context of anywhere except California. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And it's very California lib-minded to just be like, okay, the outcomes may not change, but the path that we took to get there, that's what we care about. Like, you might not stop selling soda, but at least you'll be doing some extra bureaucracy on your way there.
Yeah, exactly. Like in a way, it does sort of feel like I hate to use the phrase virtue signaling because I feels like more negative than I necessarily mean here. But it does sort of feel like that. Like they're just like, hey, we're California. Like we are the ones that are deciding like, hey, this is bad for you, even if we're going to keep selling it anyways.
Well, not to follow up a really important government story with a lot of money and risk involved with something stupid, but that's kind of my specialty. GoPuff sent me like $450 by surprise last week. I don't know if you remember the GoPuff Gambit, a video that I made like a year and a half to 2 years ago. I'm amazed that GoPuff is still in business, and that should be the headline. Really, is surprise GoPuff is still in business. That way, it doesn't sound like such a stupid story. But on like New Year's Eve, I got just dozens of texts. I could not opt out. It was just like, you hit a referral, you hit a referral. I think something happened in their data system where they're like, oh, this guy who like referred a bunch of people to GoPuff 2 years ago, we should give him his money. So now I have like $450 in GoPuff. I spent it all already. I spent it all on stupid junk because I was like, this will be good for the Eater's Digest show. I bought like freeze-dried snacks. Oh my gosh, so yucky. I was so excited to try them. I tried like I was talking about how I don't understand what beverages are anymore. I tried like a reishi mushroom calming soda type thing. Disgusting, truly yucky. Like everything was so nasty. And now I have like, it was just a waste. I regret it all immediately.
I love that 2 years later, they're giving you all of this like referral money for a video where you purposefully were, it was the GoPuff Gambit where you were like, taking advantage of this company. They're just like, thank you so much for taking advantage of us.
Well, maybe they purposely withheld
funny.
it for like 2 years, and they're just like, well, let's not give this guy his referral money, and then something tripped in the code, or like somebody new took over that department, and they're like, hey, this guy is owed a bunch of money. It really made no sense.
Did you manage to try anything that you were excited about?
I was excited about all of it. I got to try the Rick Ross Wiz Khalifa champagne, Luke Belair, and it's gold and shiny and expensive, and I got it for New Year's Eve. Truly, I've never had a sparkling wine that I'm just like, this is detestable. I can't finish it. It was so gross. It was like port or sherry, like something really fermented and yucky and sweet. It was so bad. I like passed it around to like 4 people. Like, am I crazy? They're like, no, this is the worst thing I've ever tried.
Wow, worse than like a Cook's, a Corbel, an Andre,
Yes.
any of that?
Yes,
That's
by
crazy
a lot.
to me.
By
That's
a lot.
wild. So a man in Florida sued Outback Steakhouse for $50,000 after a toilet exploded beneath him, causing, quote, significant and permanent loss of an important bodily function.
He can't do no mo.
That is my understanding of it, at least. Apparently, there was a similar incident, like back in 2022 at a Florida Dunkin' Donuts, and I can't help but wonder if this is like the new hot coffee scam. You know, like there's no cameras in the bathroom, no one can see what you're doing in there. Like you could mess with that toilet if you wanted to.
Yeah, and nobody can
that's not what I'm
prove that
saying
you've
happened,
lost that
but-
function either. Nobody's going to be like, hold on, we got to watch.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's no like behind the scenes fact checking here for that, except I guess, in the context, like I'm sure this man probably went to a hospital. It sounds like I have here in my notes that he genuinely got his shit rocked, and I don't know that that's quite true.
Not very
But it
sensitive
sounds
of you.
like, yeah, it sounds like he is having a tough time. The thing that I'm seeing though is like in the comments of every article I've seen about this is people just being like, I demand to know this man's weight. As if that holds any like water here. Like I don't care if you're 400 pounds, like you should be able to use a toilet without it falling apart underneath you.
Exploding
This is
the
a
key word.
toilet issue, not an issue of this person's weight.
Maybe their water pressure is just really, really high. It is a restaurant after all. This is why I will never be successful anymore at making like memes or things that do well in TikTok or Instagram, is because like all of my comedic functions rely on references that nobody would get. Like imagine I'm thinking of something based on, you remember that old thing where it's like, that old experiment where toilets in Australia, because they're on the other side of the world, they spin in a different direction, and people would try that out. And this is Outback, which is a place in Australia, and their toilets explode. I probably should think about the things that I say instead of you're getting a peek into what it's like to build a meme, and I'm realizing it's not actually very exciting nor funny. So, what else is in your notes? I see here you've got a lot of notes about DoorDash. Interesting stuff about DoorDash. Oh, I saw one of these. Well, I'm gonna pretend like I came up with this one. The AI thing where you show a picture of your burger and it's like, make this burger look raw so that I can get a refund. Is that what you're talking about in one of these?
Yes, I've seen a huge influx of that. I've seen like several instances of people using AI to get refunds. The big one that I think is going around is like an image of somebody's like eggs in their grocery delivery just being like all broken, every single one of them, and being like, I need a refund. Every single one of my eggs is broken. I've also seen there was a delivery driver that was arrested for pepper spraying a customer's food. She alleged that she was trying to pepper spray a spider. That's not how you should go about killing a spider regardless.
You also just can't behave in a way that doesn't assume that people have Ring doorbells on all the time. I hate that. I feel like I'm being surveilled all the time. But as a person who interfaces with door steps and doorbells all day long, I would expect them to be more cognizant of that.
There's been like a microscope on like DoorDash drivers recently because of that case that's been going on over the last couple months of that girl, Livy Henderson, who recorded a customer who was passed out, like naked, drunk on his couch, and, claimed that it was like this purposeful attempt to like assault her. And now she's like having to plead not guilty to charges regarding her filming a naked person in their home. There will be a court date later this month. I think it's set on the 20th. So I feel like there's really like a microscope for DoorDash drivers right now. And I think that that's a little bit crazy because I feel like there are more DoorDash customers engaging in like less than savory behavior than vice versa.
I'm seeing more and more of the dot robots everywhere. That's DoorDash as well. I think that rounds out our DoorDash section of today's news. But yeah, it seems like I would have imagined that Uber Eats would be like what's it called when Kleenex is tissue and Coke is soda? Like your name.
Oh, we went over this with the Velcro thing recently, too.
Recent. It feels like a lifetime ago. We had 3 weeks off.
I do have a couple products that maybe we can just run through real quick. I know that people really like that segment, so I didn't want to totally get rid of it this week. So I'm just going to run through it real quick. We got an ant-based hot sauce. We got a clear soy sauce. And we've got a company called Bice doing a line of luggage with Chipotle, complete with a crossbody sling for your burrito.
How sure are you that you know how to say Bice? I would have said base.
I'm not sure at all.
Okay. Well, I'll say base, and then we can see who's right. Well, the ant hot sauce isn't that strange to me because like chicatanas is a Mexican. Like Mexicans eat ants. I'm afraid to say it. Like it's a pretty common thing. Like ant salsa, and there's a specific type of ant that's only harvested like once a year, I think, and so it's just not that weird. Yeah.
I can't believe I didn't know this. I feel so uneducated.
Yeah, well, I've never even had them, so it's not like I can.
I was just about to ask, have you eaten the ants?
No, because they're super seasonal and like kind of expensive. It's sort of like I know Hacienda.
So it's a delicacy. Wow.
Yeah. I know Hacienda sells them, but only like for like a week or two when they're harvested, and they're in like the caviar tins. Like it's pretty difficult to get, but you can grind them up into a salsa and things like that, and they're black, which looks cool.
Oh, that's crazy. I never expected that, but I guess this isn't such a bizarre product after all. I expected like a much stronger reaction from you, and I can't believe that of all the things I've presented to you on this show, that the hot sauce with ants as the second ingredient is not blowing you away. They did say there's over 200 ants in every bottle.
Takes a lot. They're pretty small.
Wow.
I'm more blown away by the idea of clear soy sauce. How does that even work? You're just separating it in a centrifuge?
Yeah, it's like a different process entirely. Well, not entirely. That's kind of a ridiculous thing to say. It's actually not a new product. I'm lying a little bit here on this episode. It's been out for a few years, but it's the first time that it's ever kind of fallen in my lap. I've seen articles about it in a couple different places, so it's kind of hitting the mainstream now. And the selling point on it seems to mostly be like, it's soy sauce that's not going to stain your clothes, and it's not going to change the color of the food that you're making. So I could see that being useful in like some applications, like if you are making a sauce or something and you don't want this like drastic color change. Like the thing that comes to mind for me, and this is like a very hyper specific example, is like the making of fake meats. Because you see things like soy sauce and like Maggi seasoning and all these other like dark sauces being used to flavor these fake meats and just get that umami note in there. But then it immediately turns everything dark brown, which is not always the most attractive like looking food product.
Yeah, and I already know that I don't care about that much because anytime a recipe is like use white pepper in your mashed potatoes so that it doesn't make black flecks in your mashed potatoes. I'm like, nah, I'm just going to use black pepper. I don't care.
I don't see this being a good product for like the average soy sauce user because once it's on there, you can't see it. And you don't know how much soy sauce is on your food. Like if you are just drizzling a little bit over like your rice or something, you're not seeing it. It would be very easy to use entirely too much of it.
They need to make clear hot sauce for easier pranking.
I feel like that's got to exist already.
We'll see. The Bay's Chipotle line of luggage does look kind of cool, but it's just not cool enough. Like the tote bag looks nice, but it just looks like a paper bag. It doesn't look Chipotle enough. It doesn't have like the little tattoos all over it that a Chipotle bag would have. It's made out of PU. What is that? Polyurethane instead of leather. So it's not going to age well. Yeah, it stinks. And like the little like panties that you can put on the luggage where it's just like, what is this? Like it doesn't look quite right. I know what they're trying to do. It just doesn't look right.
Yeah, I gotta admit, I think that this is one of the lamer things that Chipotle has done. I feel like Chipotle is one of those brands kind of much like Liquid Death where they always seem to be doing some sort of like underwhelming collaboration. And when I look on the website for this company, everything is in stock. So nobody is like clamoring to buy these products.
I was surprised by that too.
And they're very expensive. Obviously I'm sure the quality is there for these like luggage products and stuff.
Well, hold on, because I'm going to say the opposite. Because when I saw it, I was like, wow, this is much cheaper than I thought for a leather tote. And then I saw like, oh, the quality isn't there. It's made out of plastic.
Oh, maybe I'm just like a cheapskate and I'm just like, wow, these are so expensive. But I just thought it was all very underwhelming. I thought it was all kind of like very plain and ugly looking. And if if Chipotle is doing a collaboration with something, I expect a little bit more of that like, flair like you said about the bags with the stuff all over it. It felt like it had nothing to do with Chipotle at all except for like the novelty of being like, look, you can put your burrito in this bag. So, I know you didn't do your homework, but I did. I've got a couple 2026 predictions here. And since I have such a robust history of being correct here, I'm interested to see how this will all turn out and to see if you have any feelings about these things. I've got I think McDonald's is going to at least temporarily reinstate the all-day breakfast. I think bringing back the snack wrap was really underwhelming for a lot of people, and they're going to have to try a little bit harder to get people's attention. And what we want is all-day breakfast. A new nut milk is going to have its 15 minutes of fame. I think it's going to be pecan milk, specifically. I think a raw milk influencer is going to get a parasite, and it's going to be like a prolific story. I think fiber maxing is going to land someone in the hospital with digestive issues. And I think Philadelphia cream cheese is going to bring back the early 2000s cheesecake bars.
That is the only one that's going to be hard to achieve. I think fiber maxing, whenever I talk about Metamucil, which I do a lot, I make sure to show that Chubby Emu video about the person who took too much without enough water. And I'm like, don't do this. Like, just so you know, it is dangerous. It's like a person who like dry scooped a bunch of Metamucil and it formed like an intense colon blockage. It was really crazy. I think everybody should watch it. The raw milk influencer gets a parasite. Someone's going to get a parasite and they're going to have at least 100 followers and you're going to count that as a win. A new nut milk is pretty inescapable. All day breakfast, even if they reinstate it for one day, that'll be a win for you. So I think this is pretty doable for you. I think as long as the cheesecake bars hit, you'll be batting 1,000, and this is a better.
Do you remember those? Did you grow up eating those at all?
Not eating them, but I could probably draw you a picture of what the label looked like.
I feel like those were like one of the biggest like fallen off the map, like childhood nostalgia treats. And one of the things that I'm seeing a lot lately in research for the show is just article after article about how nostalgia is like the driving factor in like the snack sector right now.
And the
I think,
and the entertainment sector as well.
Yeah. And I think, in the last like 10 years or whatever, we've got cream savers back. We've got Altoid sours back, albeit in a different form. And I think that the the top tier example of this is going to be the Philadelphia cheesecake bars. And I hope it's true. When I was like 7 years old, I thought that was like the fanciest delicacy of a dessert.
I'd be interested to see how many people have such a strong nostalgia for that, because I don't really. It was really just like the General Mills cereal bars that have like the thin layer of fake milk that's just like a sugar cream. Yeah, that's the one for me.
I remember those.
I really
I think
only
they still make those.
Really? Whoops.
Or maybe it's not the same ones, but I feel like the cereal bar with the milk layer is like a whole category of like, I don't want to say granola bar. It's not granola, but you know what I mean. Like bar-shaped treat.
Portable pseudo meal.
Yeah.
This is why I don't dare make predictions, because I already know so little about the current world that I don't dare predict the future. I've got a nebulous one that is going to feel impossible to measure, but advertising is going to progress in a way, specifically for food, like food advertising, or like for brands that feel like they're institutions, Kraft Heinz, Clorox, Mr. Clean, like just brands that feel like they've been around since we were born. The way that they're choosing to advertise, I think, is going to progress in a way that makes people our age, like even 25 and up, start to feel like really conservative and old, where it's just like, why does this bother me so much? Because, there's this thing happening where it's like you need UGC, user-generated content. And so Clorox is going to hire an influencer for like $5,000 to make a video about Clorox, but it's going to have like a thirst trappy element to it where it's just like, whoa, Clorox posted this? But that's like just the nature of it. And I think there's going to be this an agony or like a dread where it's just like, what's happening here? Where everything is just so unprofessional now. And that would be my only prediction, where you see like Mr. Clean starting to show cleavage, and you're just like, what's going on here?
I like the way that you said that so casually, as if to imply that Mr. Clean like already has breasts. He's just like not showing them off. Like he's just being conservative. Yeah, I mean, we don't know what's under that shirt.
Just imagine like the Lindt chocolate guy, the one who like drizzles the thing. You know who I'm talking about. Like they make a thirst trap for him. There's just going to be a certain coarsening of advertising that makes even young people in their 20s or early 30s feel like, wow, why is this eliciting such a strong response from me?
God, I feel like we're already there though. I mean, when you look at like the way that like brands have been acting on social media, even just in recent years or even like the last like 10 years, it's just the same stuff, but it's escalating more and more. Like, 10 years ago, it was like cute and fun and controversial that we had like bratty Wendy's. And now that's just like totally normal. Every brand does that. And now, you have to be weirder. You have to try harder. You have to be like the acid bath Nutter Butter account to be getting people's attention. And it's just going to continue to spiral out of control.
Well, I'll say I'm already there personally. Nobody's surprised about that. But it's just like the "it could happen to you" moment where it's just like, no, like even though you're not 40 years old, this is going to come for you too. Where you're just like, it was one thing for Wendy's to be like, we're clapping back at you, sister. And then they say something else where it's just like, we're putting our whole Wendussy into our new chicken sandwich. It's like, ugh, don't say that. Is that our cue that the show is over?
Maybe. I think that the Merriam-Webster word of the year was slop. But after that, maybe it should be Wendussy. Maybe it should just be ussy as a
suffix.
As a suffix, yeah.
Okay, a little bit of what's the word? Inside baseball. We're bringing back the emails, the Patreon emails. So if you're a subscriber on Patreon, whether paid or free, you're going to get the emails. Again,
oh, good to know.
I don't know if I'm going to do it for this one, though, because this was kind of I'm not going to say mess, but more casual introduction back into the year. So starting next week, I'll start doing that again.
Yeah. Fun fact, guys. I didn't know that was happening. I didn't prepare an email document.
Yes, you did. I have it right here.
Well, I don't know if this is really worthy of an email, but nobody has to know about my sloppy document.
I think every announcement that's ever been made on this show, you've found out in real time, and Derek too. Like the taking 2 weeks off, the 2026, the show has to make money. It all is just happening off the top of my head. I'm a tyrannical owner of this joint.
Derek, if you can just throw like the I think you should leave, gotta make money on this thing. If you can just throw that up there real quick, that would be perfect.
Okay, very good. We'll see you all next week and this whole year. Yay, welcome back to Eater's Digest. Live forever.
A new year of eating and digesting. Thanks for being here, guys.
Ta-ta.
Ta-ta.
Eater's Digest is published every Friday morning on YouTube with video and Spotify with audio. You can support the show by subscribing, by sharing it with somebody who might like it, or by joining our Discord at patreon.com/Shack.